So 1960 is currently matchmaking it, and it looks like we're going to find a match because we didn't enter the by-election phase, or the phase where you get the no match found. It looks like we are going to find a match this upcoming Wednesday. But it'll be Tuesday for me, but this upcoming Wednesday we'll find that match. And a lot of notable kingdoms are going into this pop, mainly 1960, 2489, 1846, 1188, and 1360. All will be in this registration. So I'm very looking forward to this KVK. But as you can see, I'm not super ready for this KVK, right? You can see my resources are not up to par with how a big Imperium KVK is going to look. So there are two things which I'm going to show in this video. One, how many farms I have, how much resources I'm going to get from my farms, because a lot of people are skeptical how much resources I can farm, as well as GT's very small migration, which we got, but still a pretty sizable migration of 10 players, which we got. One, this Akar player is from the same season migration we got last KVK, and the rest of them are migrants. So we'll discuss the migrants as well as how I'm going to get all these resources which I need for next KVK. All right, so this is one of my many farms. As you can see, I have 5 farms on this login, and I have 5 farms on this login, and I have one more on a separate Gmail login. So yeah, they're all City Hall 25 farms. They're all pretty decent power farms. I wanted to get them all to Trading Post 25 just because it takes less time to transfer resources. And as you can see, I currently have not transferred any of the resources right now. So I'm going to show you how long it takes to transfer. I believe I have around 13 billion total resources. So let's see how long this takes to transfer all those resources. And hopefully my fingers are not too harmed after the process. Okay, I'm all done transferring. So that took about an hour and a half, I think, a little more than an hour and a half to transfer from all my farms. You can see them here. Oh, wrong one. Right here. So takes a while, but you got to do what you got to do. So 15 farms transferred about 14 bill total resources. So you see, I still transfer farm mostly food and wood. And then, stone and gold, the nodes are smaller for stone and gold, so I have a little less of that. But this is a pretty reasonable amount to have for this KVK. I do think I need a little more, but this is probably good enough to last me until Kingsland, I would say, so the last zone. So pretty good start. Obviously, I don't think this is going to be enough, like I said, though, so I'll be working on my farms a little more, farming throughout the rest of KVK as well, unfortunately. Now, I do want to talk about migration, but before we do that, I want to briefly discuss my VIP as well as my speedups. So one of the main reasons I came to 1960 was, of course, to get to VIP 18, to get that march speed as well as the extra troop capacity, which will help a lot with the crystal tech, because free-to-play is basically non-existent crystal tech. So I'm sitting at 1.4 mil to VIP 18. I have not opened any of these VIP packs since I got to 1960. So you can see that I'm currently sitting at 1.3 mil in my bag. So this is around 95K, I think like 92K to VIP 18. So I should pretty much hit this VIP 18 milestone in probably 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll definitely have this for the KVK, the upcoming KVK, which is pretty nice. In terms of speeds, I'm always pretty good on speeds. I've never been particularly low on speeds. Take a screenshot of like all this sort of stuff. That adds up to 4,000, how many days? 4,068 days. So we're sitting at a pretty comfortable amount of speeds. I do want to also push higher amount of power, maybe to like 90 mil, 95 mil for this KVK, just so I can, take some maybe swarms, take some risky plays. I'm okay dropping power now because I have so many speeds. Then looking at gear, I finished my 5th gear set. I mean, not maybe completely finished, but this is almost as good as it's going to get. So I brought my boots to Iconic 5. You can see the boots here. This is for my slower march, the Scipio Ragnar march. I should probably move this wind scars over here, but you can see this is like 5 almost completed sets. I'm keeping some purples. This Delanes can probably go for a ring later, but this is almost a completed 5 set for the most part. I brought my Iconic 5 infantry boots. I have Iconic 5 archer boots. I'm probably going to work on maybe one more infantry or archer boots to 5 after that. So that's mainly where my account's at. 5 marches looking pretty good. I talked about my 5 marches before. It's just going to be what I think are the best 5 marches at the moment as well, which is just Zug Herman. I should fix that. I switched it for Arc. Scipio Ragnar, Huo William, Lou Alex, and Nev Drone. So I'm going to be using those 5 marches with this 5 sets of gear. My armaments are pretty good also. 2 hunters, 1 destructive, and pretty good amount of stats on all the armaments. Okay, now let's come to the migration which we had. So as you can see, we only have 10. And this player, De Ace, is a returning player. So you could say this is 9 migrants and 1 returning player. So let's start with the first one, Glock. Glock is from 1093. So he's a pretty big spender, pretty big whale. You can see his power. Definitely one of the highest power players in GT right now. So 1093 recently did a big Imperium drop. So they dropped every player in their kingdom down to below, I think 70 mil or 65 mil. So a lot of players were not happy with that, and Glock was obviously one of them. So he did migrate from 1093 to 1960. Jack, also a very long player in 1093. He's been there for a very long time. I'm surprised he actually left. If you're spectating the KVK, the 1093, 1960, 2489, 1818, all those Imperiums and big kingdoms, that KVK Jack was number 1 in kill points. Is Lou Alex was putting in a lot of work that KVK, let me say that. But he's a pretty good player overall. He's always puts up pretty good numbers. You can see the autark he has was pretty sizable. That was from that KVK, the 498 mil, which he did that KVK. I think that was like 2 KVKs ago, I believe. So happy to have Jack and Glock in the kingdom. Bosch, I'm gonna slaughter his pronunciation. Boshaheen, QTR. He's from 1846. He recently came as well. I think he's one of the newer migrants. He came like maybe 4 or 5 days ago. So these players are all pretty recent pickups. Pretty decent autark as well. You can see right there. Iluya, I'm surprised we got this player. Iluya is from 2359. If you don't know 2359, they're pretty good ace seed. I remember being recruited by 2359 every KVK in like the last maybe 5 or 6 KVKs I played. So happy to pick up Iluya as well. Pretty solid player. Very young account as well. I'd say this account age is pretty similar to mine. So mine is like 1300. I'd say this player is around 1100, maybe 1000 days. So 20 bill in 1000 days is pretty solid. De Ace, I said, is a returning player. Everyone, I think, who pays attention to 1960 knows about De Ace. He's a very, very long time OG 1960 member. Now let's come to the next guy, QTR right here. So this player is from 3159, I believe. So 3159 was sort of an up and coming kingdom at one point, and then they met 1175, and then they died. So 3159 is basically dead. I believe the kingdom was sold, so that is the end of 3159. But yeah, it looks like most of their players have sort of scattered to the wind, and QTR came here. Talked about Jack. Ninja is also from 1093, I believe. Recent pickup from 1093. So these 3 players, Glock, Jack, and Ninja, are all from 1093. Akar, he was the only migrant we got from the same season KVK. So he came from our last KVK. So Akar was pretty, he was in 3277, as you can see. He had a really good performance last KVK, actually. So you can see quite a lot of deads, as well as KP. I think in all of Water Camp he was second. So pretty solid player. Happy to have him here as well. Now coming to, we all know who this is, right? Everyone knows who this is. So Ploto, I think Ploto stayed in 2268 for a little longer than I expected. He was still deciding where to go. A lot of people thought he would go to 1093, but it looks like he ultimately decided to come to 1960. For people who don't know Ploto, he was in 2268 for a very long time. I think he was deciding whether to either go to us or 1093 or go to 2268's New Kingdom, and ultimately did decide to come to 1960. So very excited to have Ploto in our kingdom. You know, I played with Ploto in 2268 for 2 KVKs. Then I migrated. I thought I'll come back, but it didn't work out. So happy to have Ploto and play with them again. Okay, and our last migrant here is Stroke. Stroke came from 2973. Pretty solid autark, 240 mil kills. That's not easy to do by any means. 2973 is, I think, sort of losing a lot of members recently. I know some of their members, Suki, as well as Gorilla. Gorilla's another account, it looks like. But Suki and Gorilla, I played with these guys 2 KVKs in 2268. They're very good players. They're very good field fighters as well. But we've been slowly picking off 2973's members over time. We also have Andy, who recently joined us at the same time I migrated in, also from 2973. So it's nice to pick up these players here and there. But yeah, that is all for our migration, those 10 players. Pretty solid members overall. They added a lot of KP to our rankings, and I'm looking forward to playing with these guys in the next KVK, which should be starting in 2 days. So we'll have the match reveal this Wednesday. It'll be Tuesday for me, and I'll try to show and then maybe make a video regarding the match we get, and hopefully it does have those kingdoms that I was talking about at the beginning: 1846, 2489, 1188, and 1316. These are the 4 kingdoms which I'm looking to face most in that KVK, because I think that'll make it the most fun for us in 1960, as well as, you know, everyone involved in that KVK. So hopefully we do find a match in King of Britain this Wednesday. And that's all for now. I'll give you guys another update on how this matchmaking goes. Hopefully Lilith puts us in a good and hopefully balanced KVK. So we'll see how it all goes down on Wednesday.